Good morning, everybody. Surprise. Instead, today I have to broadcast live onto Facebook. It's so interesting because I think I might have messed it up myself because I'm getting ready to do the stream next Monday through Oneness Talk Radio, and I had to change some settings, and I may have messed myself up. I don't know. We'll check and see later, but I wanted to make sure I came on. So hopefully you guys find me here, and I will open up my Facebook page in a minute and take a look and see if anybody's finding me here. But it is really good to be back with all of you today. I've missed being able to chat with everybody and say good morning. I see you guys are finding me. Good morning, Sue McCarthy and Amy Moore and Elisa. It's great to see you ladies out there, and I'm sure there are more of you that somehow the messages just got pushed away. That was the one reason why I didn't necessarily like doing this on Facebook, because I don't see all the comments. But it is really exciting around here at Living Astrology, as next Monday I begin my new adventure on Oneness Talk Radio. And I have another meeting set up tomorrow morning with the people who are producing my show there. And I will be able to hopefully ask some key questions like, how do I hear comments, or how do I see comments? There's supposedly even a way for me to have callers into the show. I don't know how that would work either, unless it's sort of like Blog Talk, where you get a phone number, you call in, and then we can talk via live talk, not just in comments. But anyway, that's coming up next Monday. It'll be my usual time at 8 a.m. If all works well, it should seamlessly broadcast from my Restream account into YouTube, which is why I think I might have messed things up this morning, because, or yesterday when I was playing with this, because I actually set that up. And I think there may be something I have to change each day that I come back to doing normal YouTube broadcasts. So I don't know. Technology, I swear to God, it changes on a daily basis. So pardon me if you are having trouble finding me this morning. Here I am. Good morning, Mimi. Good morning, Jacqueline Lopez and Linda Marie. Great to see you out there as well. Jacqueline says, hope you had an amazing time. I did. It was really nice. And, you know, my intention was to sort of keep contact with everyone while I was gone, but the universe had other ideas in mind, as the internet service at the house we were staying at was very spotty. And of course, we had kids with us that are still in school, so they had to be able to get on to their classwork via Zoom and other things. And sometimes they couldn't even do that. And what a week, right? So it was forced relaxation, forced time away from doing any kind of real work, which in a way worked out to my benefit, because I really did need that clearing of my head. And it was so funny because I didn't even realize half of what was happening in the world. I mean, I would hear about it, but I wasn't really a part of it. So things that were even happening in Portland and in Seattle, I didn't even hear about. So that was kind of nice too, to be able to just tap into the peace of everything, to have family time. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of places were still closed along the coast where we couldn't really go into state parks, or their stores were open though. We were able to get pedicures, but we couldn't go to the state park where the lighthouses are. Go figure, right? So anyway, we had a good time, and thank you all for indulging me that week away and coming back today to find out what is going on. And we have quite the week ahead for us as we head into a tricky week, as if they haven't been tricky in the past, but this week is tricky as well, as Mars and Pluto and Mars and Jupiter play prominent roles in the week. Mars is a planet that catalyzes action, that is sometimes that warrior. He is the warrior god, and that is sometimes bringing up conflict and confrontation. It's not like we haven't seen that going on, but it's a little bit different, because I feel like a corner has been turned in this, and it's not clear yet. It's like you turn the corner and there's a lot of rain in your face or something, because you can't really see clearly what the changes are going to be, but there's a very clear sense that some things have crumbled in this society. And of course, all of the year of 2020 and even into 2021 and 2022 are the results of that Saturn Pluto conjunction in January of this year, and from the, all of 2019, where they were within orb of one another, creating this deconstruction. And now with the corner turned, I believe it's time to reconstruct. I think we have a pretty clear idea of where things have gone wrong and of where we are still holding on to this old energy, the old patriarchy, some of you might call it, the old ways of being in the world that are, kicking and screaming in their death throes as we begin to birth something new. And of course, birth is not fun either, right? Birthing is messy, it is painful. And I think that is what we are experiencing at this point, is we're moving toward a birthing of a new way of being together in society. And I'm, for the most part, I think most people are on board with this. I think the public, the at large, with exception of a smaller percentage of the population, are on board with the changes that are being made, or that with the idea that changes must be made, and this is the time to do it. I think it's the powers that be that are a little slow in catching on, and that too is going to change, and it has to, right? It has to change. So it's interesting to watch society's reactions, and to watch how those reactions are creating some havoc, and hopefully cooler heads prevail as time goes on. And we really do have that opportunity to create the kind of world that we want to live in, where all people are equal, where that there's no question in anybody's mind about how we will respond to each other. So I have high hopes. Now, as we look at the week ahead, besides Mars and Pluto doing their dance and Mars and Jupiter doing their dance, we also have Wednesday's Mercury turning retrograde, yay, in Cancer at 9:52 p.m. West Coast time. So it'll be actually, that'll be midnight 52. So it'll actually be Thursday for those of you in the Eastern time zone. And then on Thursday, that's the day that Mars comes into the sextile with Pluto. Now, this is a smooth flow of energy. And Pluto is the death and rebirth piece. Mars, of course, conflict and action. So action being taken on the very major changes happening in our world. Then on Saturday, Sunday, and I say Saturday, Sunday because it's going to bridge over, we have the summer solstice at 2:44 p.m. Pacific time, and then the new moon solar eclipse following behind that at 11:42 p.m. My time, West Coast time. So for those of you on the East Coast, it will happen on Sunday morning, very early at 2:42 a.m. So it is a big week, people. This is huge. And to add kind of to that is the gates in your human design that Mars will be sitting at. It's the gate of turbulence, and the gate 36 in your human design, which is actually on the emotional center, and it leads up to the throat center. So what we'll have is a hanging gate by transit. So for some of you, you might have it completed if you have the channel or the gate 35. But in its gift level, this is the gift of humanity. And in its highest, it is compassion. So maybe this will be the week where that we bridge out of this turbulence and into this idea of what does it mean to be humane and to be a human. To be a human does not mean that police officers stick their foot or their boot on someone's neck and hold it there until they cannot breathe and pass away, or shoot an unarmed man running away from a car whose only crime is that he's drunk. I mean, some of these things are just getting more and more hideous as we go further on through this. I think it just shakes your very fiber of your being to see humans being this inhumane to one another. And it's not new, right? It's not new. We've been watching this unfold for a long time. We watched this unfold last year with the immigration issue and how children and illegal immigrants were being caged at the border, and the possibility of children being ripped away from their parents, and how that sort of faded into the distance as other things that were in man's inhumanity to man also came to light. So we've been dealing with this for a long time. I think we're feeling fatigue, and it's time for us to really get clear with our minds and our hearts and our spirits about where we want to go from here. Do we want to continue this? Or do we want to start really promoting love and the idea of humanity and compassion to one another? So that is the high side that we have this week. And one of the most profound things that we can have astrologically that shows us a new beginning is a new moon. And even more important and potent is a new moon solar eclipse. And one that, of course, is happening at 0 degrees of a sign, which gives us the opportunity to open into some totally and completely new way of being, right? This is untried and untested area, and that is 0 degrees of Cancer. And Cancer is a sign that is ruled by the moon. It is a sign that we think of as mother. It is a sign that we think of as nurturing and compassion and the love of family and treating one another as a family, even if it's an extended family. So I have high hopes. I have the feeling that we could really turn a major corner here and shift our world into that of being a family and not being a divisive political ploy that has been foisted upon us over the course of time. So hopefully you guys are all feeling that. I'm going to head over to Facebook real quick and see more comments. The best moments are not shared much. Yeah, it happens to me a lot. Hope, yes. Hope, hope, hope. It's what we have in a very big way at this point in time. And yet, we will still see, obviously, with Mars this week, we may still see some more damage being done. But ultimately, it is leading us in a new direction. The other thing this week, human design wise, the sun and the earth are at they're at the gate 12. The sun is at the gate 12, which is sitting on the throat center. And it leads down to Neptune at gate 22, which is completing the entire channel of charm and grace and ease and the emotional equivalent of being in a good mood, of being more aware of our effect upon one another. And then the earth sitting at the gate 11, which is the gate of illumination, the gate of light, of ideas, of being inspired by new ways of thinking, of new ways of being, of creative energy. And this is a week then where maybe we have someone or some ones that step up with some new ideas or with some love energy that really can show us that there is another way, right? And maybe it is, small voices like my own in the background that are talking to maybe not millions of people, but maybe just hundreds of people that can talk to hundreds more. And we could spread a message of love and unity and oneness and togetherness, of peace throughout the country, but also throughout the world. And allowing us to be able to come together and recognize our commonalities and not our differences so much. We can value our differences. We don't want to take our differences away. We don't want to do that at all. We want to value and embrace everything, the all that we all are, and move from that kind of viewpoint as opposed to one of division and polarization. So even human design this week energetically gives us access to the potential for the hope, right? For purity and for universal love. And anyway, I'm waxing philosophical here. As I come into my solar return this week, I get the picture, right? There's something new brewing even within me, and the way that I may embrace the way that I talk with people or who I am speaking to, maybe increasing an audience or increasing the connection between astrology, human design, and the gene keys as a way to map out the potential for who we are and where we could go from here. And underpinning all of that is that co-creative energy, right? The energy, the spirit of co-creation, of collaboration, of cooperation, very Libran ideals that are possible for us as we move forward. Mercury this week will be sitting at the gate 39 in retrograde. Remember, that's a gate of provocation. And so there are these things, these issues, these people that poke us, right? Or ideas that provoke us. The idea here is that the gate 39 sits in opposition to the gate 55 in your human design and connecting the root center to the emotional center. And in so doing, it is a gate, the 39 is, that realigns us with the highest aspirations and goals of spirit. The truth, the higher truths of who we are in terms of abundance, in terms of love and light, in terms of the family of humanity, in terms of being spirit embodied in this body of ours, right? This human body, and that connection that we have, that easy connection that we have, that we've forgotten that we have, to God, source, goddess, spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? That it's inborn. So Mercury in and of itself is bringing a message, and the message is provoking us to move, to get out of the old ruts that we have been in, right? Because you know what, people, we've already been through all of this chaos, right? We've been through this. That's what the 60s were all about, bringing us this new idea of civil rights and equality. And somehow it got burbled up into all of the other stuff that's happened in the world. And here it is back at us and roaring at us, right? Not just coming back and, oh yeah, remember? It's roaring at us to make this change. And very Leo kind of energy there, right? Leo, the lion of courage. It is very Mars actually as well, even though, you know, Mars we think of as the warrior, but what is a warrior doing, right? A warrior is fighting, defending, protecting. It is standing up to the old paradigm. It is creating a pathway of destruction, yes, at the moment, but that can lead us to renewal and to rebuilding. So it's kind of interesting to see how all of the gates are working for us, how the astrological transits are working for us, but in a weird way, it's kind of taking us through maybe back roads, right? We're coming at it from back roads. It's almost like the bigger circle and it's closing in, and we're getting closer and closer to the center, to the heart of this issue or any of these issues. Venus this week, still in retrograde, will be at the gate 16, also on the throat center. It's the gate of enthusiasm, speaking from optimism, speaking from hope, speaking from that enthusiastic voice of possibility. And then Jupiter, and I think I might have mentioned this before I left on vacation, that Jupiter in retrograde now has moved back to the gate 61, sitting with Pluto, who he will conjunct on June 30th, and we're halfway through the month. It's already the 15th, so we're halfway there. They're only a degree away from one another right now. And remember, Jupiter and Pluto coming together were about laws and lawlessness, and where laws have not been applied equally, and where the judicial system is now going to have to come back and recenter all of us around what are equal rights, or what is equal justice under the law look like. And so, but I'm afraid back at the gate 61, we're still dealing with that shadow energy of psychosis. And hopefully we can move out of that psychosis and become inspirited. Let's see, I forgot what the gift there is. Inspiration. So becoming more inspirited, right? Inspiration means inspirited, spirit within, right? So reconnecting to the spirit within, to love energy within, to the oneness energy within, will help us move out of that psychosis and ultimately up into the siddhi, which is sanctity, which is really the sacredness of all life, all people, all ideas, and all life forms, right, being on this planet. So there's your human design sort of in an encapsulated form. Now, if we take a look at what the moon is doing today, I'll do that in just a second. I want to go back here. And I'm sorry, hi, Londa, sister. Ursula, good morning to you. Great to see everybody finding me over here. I hope you all weren't hanging out on YouTube, wondering where I was, but for whatever reason this morning, it just wouldn't connect. And thank God Facebook was here. So I'm hoping to get through all of that and understand better what is happening in the background. So thank you for being patient and for looking for me over the next few days. By the way, you may see me pop up over the next couple of days in live broadcasts that are really meant to be tests of how things will work on Monday when I start with Oneness Radio. So don't be alarmed. It's not me coming on with any great new ideas. It's really just a test. But if you see it and you want to join me, that's great too. Okay, so if we look at the moon today, the moon begins her trek, or is ending her trek through the sign of Aries. And that means here in a very few minutes, probably, she will be conjunct the goddess Eris, which I've been doing a deeper dive into. Thank you, Ursula, for turning me on to the book by, now his name just went out of my head, Henry Seltzer, I believe it was, on Eris. And so when the moon is moving through the sign of Aries, where Eris is located, we have a conjunction, and that can be the eruption of some very powerful emotional energy, some discord, and also, you know, there's something I'm finding very interesting in Eris, and that is, as far as I've read in this book so far, it seems that she has been operating in silence in people forever, at least as far back as the 1700s. And that made me wonder if maybe that was, the time of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, where things were really where we were really forgetting our connection to the sacredness of all life, and where the earth and her minerals and her bounty became commodities that we would be able to, rape and pillage. And not to say that, the people of that era weren't doing things that have really helped life, helped us become more civilized, if you will, or technological. I think it separated us in some way from the natural cycles of time, the natural cycles of the universe. And here she was operating all the time. If you look at some of the characters that Henry Seltzer brings to us in studying Eris, you see a lot of this energy of discord building as people were fighting against the times, women's rights, and different in the artwork of the time and in the writings of the time, and this idea of how the world had been changed, and not necessarily for the better, by the things that have been happening. And remember, Eris also, she is, her main theme was brought about, her main theme of discord and revenge and jealousy and all of that was brought about because she was excluded from the wedding of Helen and Paris. And there was something in that, in her being left out, that has triggered this kind of rebellion and this revolutionary energy within her. And so what we're really seeing now, if we fast forward to these times that we're in right now, we see Eris, the blowback of that inequality, of the changes that were that should have happened, that just went underground, right? The old energy of inequality just kind of went underground, and it was still there. We may have been talking on the surface about equality, but under the surface was this whole other world that was not supporting that idea of equality. And now we're seeing Eris in her discordant form bringing us out of that dark place and bringing all of that up into the light for the purpose of inclusivity. So it's not like she's doing this just to be a bitch or just to be obstinate or be ugly. It's about really stirring up the pot so that we will be able to see our inequality, where we'll be able to see where we ourselves have not been in alignment with our spiritual goals or with our stated sacred tenets or our values. So she's playing her part and she's doing it well. And today the moon conjunct her will really bring that up in our face in some way, shape, or form. I happened to see a picture this morning that came across my phone, and it was a news story, and all I saw were tanks. And it looked like it was in the city of Atlanta, where the other gentleman, Rashad, was shot over the weekend. And I was just sitting there going, oh man, let's hope those tanks are not aimed at civilians, although I'm guessing that is exactly what's happening. And we have this potential then for more discord. So what can we do? Well, we pray peace, we pray joy, we pray love, we pray common sense, cooler minds. We really bring that energy out, because today the moon is also moving into the end of Aries, which puts, remember, Aries is a sign that squares Capricorn, where Jupiter and Pluto and Pallas Athena are all coming back together in a conjunction. Even Saturn this week will move to the 0 degree of Aquarius, which means he's just about to transit backwards into the sign of Capricorn. And we're going to have this, potential, melting pot of ideas and ideals that are going to pop up at us, creating that kind of chaotic pathway. So today the moon squares Pluto. That is a very powerful emotional death and rebirth sort of energy. Sextiles the sun a little bit later in the day, which is a more smooth flow, where maybe the more inner soul self and the more ego-oriented outer self can really see themselves a bit clearer, and then followed by Jupiter in a square to the moon. So that one's not usually as terrible. That's kind of, it can be a driving force for taking things over the top. And that's a little bit worrisome today because of just the nature of the energy itself. But again, if we can stay cool and calm and collected and realize there are some subversive elements out there, it isn't the people and the protesters so much as the subversive elements that want to see more chaos, spread, that happen. Then the moon today will move into her void, where I was just reading something yesterday about the moon in void, and she was described as wandering during the void of course. And I kind of loved that idea, where she's just wandering around. She's not really able to connect with any planet to make anything happen. There's no real timing engaged. So we get another kind of insight as to why it is that it's not a good time to make decisions, or why it is not a good time to make, force things to happen. And the void is at 5:49 p.m. my time, so 8:49 p.m. East Coast time. We'll transit into tomorrow morning, 2:35 a.m. West Coast, 5:35 a.m. East Coast, where she will be emerging into the sign of Taurus. And then, of course, she's preparing for her conjunction to Uranus. And so we may have some surprises coming as the week goes on as well. But, the moon in Taurus is in Venus's territory instead of Mars's territory. Today, the moon is in Mars territory. Tomorrow, she will be in Venus territory. So we hopefully see calmer energy tomorrow in some ways. Now, today we have some minor aspects that I want to talk about. One that I don't think I've brought up to you is called a biquintile, and it's very minor. It is, so you've heard of a quintile. The quintile is when we cut the circle, the 360-degree circle in fives, right? Divide it by 5, you get 72 degrees. So a quintile is a 72-degree connection between planets. And it's usually a place where a lot of talents come up to the surface, right? Where a lot of gifts are given. And the problem with the quintile can be like, how do I use those gifts and talents, right? Not I have so many. I could turn them in so many directions. And what do I do? And often that means sometimes that person that has a lot of quintile energy sits back and just kind of allows things to unfold, not necessarily using their talents in the wisest or most judicial way. Now we have the sun in a biquintile, by two, so a two quintile, 72 degrees twice, which is a 144-degree angle between the planets of the sun and Saturn. So in a way, this is a minor set of talents that might come up for us all today. Maybe it is a sort of ease in being able to categorize or organize or get some things done, to put some things to right. Maybe there's been, some projects that you've had kind of laying around. I know I do. I still haven't finished all the laundry from my trip. That, maybe today's a great day to use that minor energy to get some things done. There's also the sun moving after that into an inconjunct, quincunx, we call it, to the planet Jupiter. And that being so close to the void of course moon makes the later part of the day not good for making decisions. The energy is a little indecisive, a little bit wobbly or waffling, not being able to actually come down right, on one side of something or the other. So it might be, if you have to get things done, maybe get it done earlier in the day today, and then let the rest of the day just be relaxing or contemplating, or just kind of finishing things that you started earlier, because it's not going to be a great time to make big decisions or big moves or do anything new as you get into the later part of the day. But then tomorrow we'll talk then more about what the moon in Taurus brings us and what else we can expect. I just noted something interesting. The part of fortune today is also sitting with Uranus. So we may have some surprising fortunate events today and tomorrow. I like that. All right, checking in with people over here. Let's see what people are saying. Amanda, good morning. I wondered where you all were. Here we are. Sorry about that, Amanda, but for whatever reason, YouTube didn't work this morning. Jacqueline, I have my Eris in Aries at 13 degrees in the 11th house. Time for you to get those big wishes and dreams and hopes and aspirations out there on the table. And Mimi says, LOL, we stalk until we find you. I love it. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts. She says, finally found you. I'm so sorry, guys. I really couldn't tell you what the bleep is going on, except like I said earlier in this broadcast, I think I might have been the one who actually did something, because I'm preparing to go on to Oneness Talk Radio on Mondays, and I had to connect a Restream account to my YouTube account. And it's possible that in that connection, I was going to try coming on Restream, and then I just didn't have the guts to do it. Mostly because I don't understand the technology behind it. But after tomorrow, hopefully that's different and I can figure out what the heck I've done. So thank you for being a stalker and finding me. Ilaria, hello. We've been in the shadow, you're correct, of the Mercury retrograde since I think it was June 1st or June 2nd. And now we are going into retrograde on Wednesday and until July 12th. And then we will come out of the retrograde and into the retro shade. Thank you for Suzanne. She always brings us that word. I love that. Until we get into the end of July. And then finally, Mercury will leave Cancer on August 4th. So pretty much the entire summer just about is spent with Mercury in the sign of Cancer. Planning to travel from the lands where cacao grow to the magic of Hawaii. How do you live or use this retrograde energy if I need to travel? So that's a great question, because we know, of course, that our Mercury retrograde often messes up travel, communication, contracts, etc. So the best thing that I can tell you is to be prepared for any eventuality. So maybe take a bag with you into the plane that, in case your luggage gets lost. Make sure you have all of the phone numbers you need, all of the information about where you'll be staying, maybe even call before you fly just to make sure, double check and recheck, evaluate, reevaluate, because things have a tendency to change when you least expect them when Mercury is in retrograde. And I'm not sure if this is just for a trip or if you are moving there. So you may want to reevaluate that as well while you are on this trip. Is this where I want to be? Does this feel good to me? That kind of questioning. And Jacqueline says, wow, I have Mercury in the 11th also. Speaking the dream, right? Speaking the dream, connecting with other people, like-minded people. Group energy, right? You have got group energy there, and you also have it being the land of vision, right? Your vision, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, goals, that kind of thing. So the 11th is a pretty cool house when you think about it. Okay, now, what time are we looking at? Oh, good. So we still have time to talk about the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day. And because the new week began while I was gone, I wanted to start there. What is the week? What is the umbrella energy of the week? Because today we've come to 7 exploring energy. So we're at the halfway point, believe it or not, of this particular spiral of consciousness. But guess where we began this week? We began the week at 1 remembering. And remembering is an energy that is ideally about peace and cooperation, and it brings us balance and harmony and a sensitivity to what's going on with the people in our world and with the planet at large. And the energy of 1 remembering tells us that the umbrella of this entire 13-day week is about remembering the truth of our connection, right? Of our the collective nature of humanity. And that what happens to one is happening to all. So if you sit back and think about that for a minute, every Black man who has died at the hands of the police is not just happening to that person. It is happening to us as a collective. I don't care what color skin you have. I don't care what country you've come from. I don't care where you live on this planet. What happens to one happens to all. Such is the collective nature of humanity, right? We call ourselves a collective, right? A collective. So the collective unconsciousness. So this may be not happening to you in the physical, where you're feeling the physical pain that this being went through, but certainly the spiritual and the mental and the emotional wounding, the things that we don't necessarily see on the surface, are also the wounds that you are carrying. So we are family. I wanted to bust out with that song this morning, but I thought, oh, then I'd get tagged for copyright. So I didn't do it, but you know what song I'm talking about. I think it was Sly and the Family Stone. We are family. And that is the truth of our connection here on the planet. And that's our umbrella for this week. So if you step back and you think about the craziness that's going on here under that umbrella, and now we've reached the halfway point, right? So the initiation on the 9th, which was the day, June 9th, I believe it was, where we went into the 1 energy. We've now reached the 7. So we're at the halfway point between initiation into the remembering of the truth of who we are and the completion of that once we reach the number 13, the day 13. So we're halfway between initiation and completion, and we are all called at this point in time to decipher the hidden truths, right? The hidden meaning in things that, I think it's very easy to cast stones and cast aspersions until you realize that we're all connected. And what we say about one is what we say about all. And what we say or do to one is what we do to all. So it opens up, widens our vision, widens our hearts and our spirit to be able to see how all kingdoms, all peoples, all life forms are interconnected in all dimensions of all times. And it's almost like at this point of the cycle, we get to see the veil of forgetting, right? This is our remembering of who we are. And seeing the veil helps us to understand the illusion of separateness, maybe that see even and remember the right use of duality. And anyway, I could go on and on forever about that energy. But so here we are walking through perhaps a doorway, a portal into a new way of remembering those things that are the truths, right? Now, exploring energy in the Mayan calendar was Ben. It was represented by a reed. And the nature of the reed is being able to stand tall and to hold fast, but needing to have some flexibility to be able to move with storms lest they break. So this energy is about being able to stay the course, to be able to kind of move and go with the flow of the energy around it, but also it being able to bring in new ideas and reviewing options, right? Reviewing your options. Do you have to do things the same way you've always done them? Can we make decisions from a new perspective, in a new way, from a new place? Can we improve ourselves? We feel a strong need on a day like today to improve ourselves, to embrace a strong commitment to spiritual integrity. And what do I mean by that? I mean walking your talk. I mean being true to your values. And right now, we can really see the effect of not living in accordance with our values. Our stated values are equality, but we really meant equal to some people, right? Or to some groups. And I guarantee that's not quite the real meaning behind it as we set it out. I feel like there was even this unconscious statement going on that there was something hidden from us about that we would discover over time. And of course, especially here in the United States, as we are moving more and more toward our Pluto return, this idea of embracing spiritual integrity becomes very much more prominent. And this is a day where anything is possible. And when we come to that 7 and we come to that idea of exploring, it is really about exploring the nature of creativity, exploring the nature of our creations. What have we created? And how do we create something new, right? How it's maybe not even how, it's like, what do you want to create? What do you want to create from here? More of this craziness? Or do we want to create a world that is more idyllic, more peaceful, more loving, more kind and compassionate and humane, right? Remember, our gene key for Mars as we go into the next week is about compassion, humanity, coming out of turbulence, that shadow energy of turbulence. This is time to move beyond those rigid ideas that we have, those rigid ways of being, thinking, beliefs, patterns, and moving into the unknown, right? Moving into the unknown territories. What I think sometimes, it's comfortable where we're in the known, right? Where we know what to expect. We know how the world works. But moving into the unknown takes more courage. It takes more fortitude. It takes more power. It takes more strength. And it takes more consciousness. And that is along the same lines as spiritual integrity. So literally the day today, it puts us at the precipice, where we're really choosing, what do we do from here? And I think it's interesting timing as we move, closer to that new moon solar eclipse, where all is possible again, right there, all is possible. If we choose to treat each other as family, as one, and not as different or separate or more valuable and less valuable. That is a big change, I think, that we can make. All right, let's go back here. I'm going to draw an animal card, I think it is, for the week. Oops, I missed. There it is. Somehow I got lost. Human Design, Ray V. Ching card deck, a companion to the definitive book of human design. I got that book, yes. Oh, yes, Natasha says, and then to add on, I walk with what is and then asking what is to teach me when life is happening. I like that. I got all my sea stars and me. I love it. Now, I'm going to pull a Galactic Heritage card for us for the week too. Remember those? These are my new cards that I got. That I pulled a card for myself the other day, which I rarely do, but I did, and I got some. What was it? It was a number 58, and I thought it was a card about Sirius, but we'll see. Anyway, so I'm going to pull a Galactic Heritage card. This is giving us an idea of what our major lessons are for this week, or how can we move ahead this week. And I go, this is perfect. Cosmic Midwifery. And hold on, here's the card. Cosmic Midwifery, which is a number 8, right? Where we have our heart connection and our as above, so below comes together in the middle. Arcturus in parallel. Now, trust me when I say I don't know what that means exactly. So let's go to the deck and read about Cosmic Midwifery. I just love that. First of all, I like that word. Speaks to birth, right? Okay. All civilizations need guides, seen and unseen, that help them grow. The Arcturus energy has guided humanity from a place of compassion and unconditional love since its inception. It plays the role of a cosmic midwife, assisting us through birth and death in the physical reality. This energy also helps us through major life transitions. You've pulled this card because you have a connection to the Arcturus energy in this life or another. That energy is working with you again to reconnect, visualize a bright orange star, and breathe in its energy directly to your heart. Commentary. As stated above, the Arcturus energy has a profound and all-pervasive relationship with human reality. One of the services it provides has to do with the two most sacred life transitions, birth and death. The Arcturus energy, which energetically resonates as the energy of our higher selves or our integrated essence, serves as a midwife for us when we are born and when we pass from this physical world. You could say that the white light seen in near-death experiences and during birth, if we could remember, is the energy of Arcturus or our pure essence. This doesn't mean the star Arcturus or something to do with extraterrestrials. This is a pure archetypal resonance that is equated with the star Arcturus in the cosmology given by Germain. This energy can be felt by focusing on the star Arcturus in meditation, but the consciousness is so much more expansive than simply a star. If this card comes up in a reading, it could point to many things depending on your unique qualities and life lessons. It may mean that you have a gift to usher others through the birth or death experience. It could also mean that you are going through a metaphorical birth or death experience and could benefit by invoking the Arcturus consciousness to assist you. Birth and death, literally. Something I started right in this morning with. I felt like we were in the midst of a birth, and we were experiencing the pains of that new birth. So there we have it. The cards back that up. And I do want to pick an animal. Somehow I always find it soothing to have an animal presence with us for the week. I hope you guys feel that too. And let's see what we get for the week. And haven't used these cards in a while. We get koala spirit. Oh, love. Oh, 2. We have electric eel too. Ha! 2 for the week. So koala spirit is right side up. And isn't she beautiful? Card 35, which is also an 8. And spirit has a plan. Spirit has a plan. So let's read card 35. Spirit has a plan. That's comforting because things have been so crazy. Here we go. And that card was right side up too. In nature, the koala moves slowly through the branches of the eucalyptus tree, leisurely chewing the leaves, reminding us that life is not a race or a competition. Chasing around after every distraction can keep us from recognizing that we have all we need and that Spirit will always be there with gifts to sustain us. You are being asked to trust that by moving slowly with faith in the abundance that is everywhere, surrendering to a power greater than yourself, you will be able to experience the manifestation of your desire. As you take your time enjoying the riches available to you right now, sitting peacefully, you begin to radiate the joy and abundance you seek. Spirit is here to help you discover happiness, pleasure, and contentment, all gifts that are yours now and in the future. Have faith and trust in Spirit's plan for you and know that you are loved and cherished. Now, the electric eel, which I don't think we've ever pulled, bring your ideas to life, card number 24, which is a 6, was in protection mode. So he was upside down. And let's take a look at card 24. Okay. Oh, elephant. Here we go. Ideas need to percolate as they rarely download in detailed form. Have you too quickly dismissed an epiphany because you couldn't see where it might lead you? Have you rushed to follow the muse without taking time to contemplate the meaning of your aha moment? Perhaps your dreams will take a different form than you first imagined, morphing into something else that is even better. Spirit's plans are often hard to discern, but so much more satisfying once they have taken over from your own predetermination. Maybe your big idea is taking more time to shape than you expected. Have you considered that you are meant to learn something in the process of bringing it into being? Commit to transformation and learning any lessons this new venture will bring, and soon you will see that your aha was even more valuable than you realized when you first felt it electrify you. I think those are great cards for us to think about collectively for the coming week. All right, one last look at questions or comments here. Jacqueline, okay, they're just talking to each other there. Perfect. All right, everybody. Well, that is it for me today. Perfect timing. I got to run anyway. Much love to all of you. I'm really glad to be back. It was good to see you and be with you. I will see you again tomorrow morning. I can't promise you I will be on YouTube, but wherever I am, there I am. And hopefully you guys will find me. If I'm not ever on YouTube, you can find me there. Check Facebook because that will be my backup for the moment until I get this straightened out. All right, everybody. Take care. Much love. Bye for now.